Magnus Carlsen, the Norwegian Grandmaster and World Champion, is engaged in a thrilling battle against Hungarian Grandmaster Richard Rapport, renowned for his aggressive and unorthodox playing style. These formidable opponents have crossed paths numerous times before, with Carlsen consistently holding a significant advantage in their head-to-head contests. Nevertheless, Rapport's knack for causing upsets throughout his career makes this clash highly anticipated. The game between Carlsen and Rapport in the World Blitz Chess Championship 2022 promises an exciting and closely contested match right from the opening moves. Carlsen opts to initiate with pawn d4, to which Rapport responds with pawn e6, presenting the possibility of transitioning into the French defense. After careful consideration, Carlsen embraces the French defense by advancing his pawn 2 squares ahead of the king. As the game progresses through a few standard opening moves, they enter the main variation of the French defense known as the winnower. During this stage, the minor pieces are traded on the c3 square, and both players establish a solid grip on the center with their pawns. Traditionally, the main variation involves queens to g4, but Carlsen deviates from convention and chooses pawn to h4, aiming to create active space on the king side. Not worrying about the advancement of Carlsen pawn, Rapport calmly develops his knight to e7. Some may wonder about the consequences if black captures the pawn on d4. White can respond by recapturing and after queen to c3, play bishop to d2, followed by queen to d4 and knight to f3. This sequence grants white good development in exchange for the sacrificed pawn. Carlsen takes an aggressive approach by pushing the pawn to h5. In response, Rapport plays h6, preventing white from playing h6, which could create dark square weaknesses for black as Rapport has to play g6, and with no dark-colored bishop, white will fancy its chance with this pawn structure. As further development moves unfold, Carlsen gives a check on b5 with bishop, and Rapport offers a bishop trade. Carlsen declines the offer to trade bishops, recognizing the superiority of white's light square bishop over black's counterpart. Rapport decides to close the position by playing pawn to c4, resulting in the entire center becoming locked. This particular French defense opening requires time for the center to open up. A crucial move by Rapport is to block the a3 pawn, forcing white's dark-colored bishop to find an alternative path for development. Carlsen chooses to develop his bishop to f4. Rapport proceeds with queenside castling, considering it the best option given the complete lock on the center, and it's certainly impossible for Carlsen to attack on the queen side with Rapport's bishop doing really well at a4. Carlsen repositions his knight to e3, allowing it to play an active role in the center. It wouldn't be surprising if Carlsen decides to break the center by sacrificing his knight on c4 or d5. Both players maneuver their pieces calmly with no immediate tension. Carlsen ensures the safety of his king while Rapport plans to move his queen to the king side, hoping to launch an attack by pushing his pawns to f6 or g5 later. With Carlsen moving his bishop to f3, an X-ray attack emerges, as the f3 bishop targets the king at b7. At any moment, Carlsen can unleash a sacrifice. Rapport casually moves away from the potential X-ray threat. Rapport moves his knight to b5, forking the pawns on c3 and a3. Magnus must defend the c3 pawn, as Rapport cannot capture the a3 pawn due to the potential pin of the 2 black pieces on the a file by white's rook from h1. With almost 1 minute up on the clock, Richard Rapport seems to have done well with the world champion so far, while Carlsen has been fidgeting continuously the bishop that he had captured earlier. The game is about to enter a thrilling phase, and you don't want to miss what's happening next. In a surprising move, Magnus sacrifices his knight on d5, injecting some excitement into the game. Magnus delivers a discovered check by pushing his pawn to e6. After the king moves, Magnus seizes the opportunity to capture the f7 pawn. Rapport responds by moving his queen to f5, further solidifying his grip on the position. The engine suggests that black is in a favorable position with a negative 1.83 advantage for Carlsen. Can the world champ make a comeback in this game? Carlsen took a calculated risk by sacrificing his knight on d5. Will that sacrifice pay off for Magnus? Surprisingly, Magnus Carlsen is not done with his sacrificial tactics. He leaves his rook on b4, tempting Rapport's knight to capture it. Rapport accepts the sacrifice, and Magnus delivers a check on e7. The expression on Rapport's face reveals his surprise at this unexpected move. Magnus takes the knight with his queen, simultaneously attacking the bishop on a4. Now, Magnus finds himself completely down in material, 2 rooks behind, and he has only 40 seconds on the clock to Rapport's 100 seconds. With being one complete full rook up, Richard Rapport looks determined to beat Magnus Carlsen. Despite being 2 rooks down, Magnus launches a relentless attack on Rapport's king. Rapport finds an interesting intermediate move, playing bishop to e4. After a series of trades on f3, now Rapport can win a rook on h1. Did Magnus miss this move? Will Rapport play his queen to e4? Yes, Rapport gives a check on e4 with his queen, skewering the white king along with the rook. Rapport accepts the rook, leaving Magnus down 2 rooks. Magnus brings his pawn into the attack, putting pressure on the position. Unfortunately for Rapport, he makes an error by moving his rook to d8. The correct move would have been g6 to protect against Magnus' advancing pawn. Magnus can seize the opportunity by moving his pawn to f3, gaining a clear victory. This simple move blocks the connection between the queen on h1 and the pawn on d5. However, Magnus overlooks this important move and plays f8, promoting his pawn to a new queen. One can understand why the world champion overlooked this move, as he was down to less than 30 seconds. Rapport sacrifices his rook for a bishop to reduce some tension, still maintaining a full rook advantage. The engine suggests that black is winning handsomely. At this point, Rapport has a chance to secure a draw by repeating the position 3 times. Will he play it safe against the world champion, or will he go for the kill? He goes for the kill. Rapport finds the winning move g5. Rapport has so far ignored the drawing opportunity at least thrice in this game. After a few more moves, Rapport successfully trades queens on g4, reducing the position imbalance. However, the game is not over yet for the world champion. Magnus still has 2 pawns on the king's side that he can utilize to create a counterattack. Both players are down to less than 30 seconds. The game has reached an exciting stage where a small miscalculation can be devastating for both players. In the subsequent moves, both players push their respective pawns, resulting in a situation where white has pawns on f7 and g7, while black's pawn is 1 move away from promotion. Both players promote their pawns to queens. Rapport gains the upper hand by delivering continuous checks. The engine suggests that Rapport has an easy path to victory in this nail-biting endgame. Let's see if he can navigate his way through. After a series of zigzag checks, Rapport supports his rook on c8 and advances another pawn towards promotion. Now both the players are down to less than 20 seconds on the clock. Carlsen moves his queen to f7, planning for a checkmate on b7. Following more checks, Rapport makes a crucial blunder by playing his queen to e8. This allows Magnus to promote his pawn to a new queen on g8. Rapport cannot capture the queen on a8 due to white's mate in 1 threat on b7. Unfortunately for Rapport, after playing remarkably well for most of the game, he has unwittingly provided an opportunity for the world champion to make a comeback through the back door. With 2 queens on the board, Magnus can easily defend against any checks this time. With the queen moving to g8, Rapport resigns upon realizing that after rook to g8, queen to g8, Magnus will deliver a back-ranked checkmate. In an unexpected turn of events, Magnus Carlsen manages to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Despite being down 2 rooks at one point, Carlsen's relentless attack and Rapport's blunder allow him to stage a remarkable comeback.